Hi, I'm Max Adlam, Secretary of the United Firefighters Union of South Australia, and I wanted to talk to you today just a little bit about diesel particulate matter and its impact on our membership, both firefighters and other areas of work such as the engineering department. This has been a matter that we surveyed members about in 2019. We specifically asked the question about the risk that's provided by diesel particulate matter and how members felt about it. Over 90% of our members indicated that they wanted more action taken. And so we decided to embark upon a campaign where we looked at the science and what's happening in fire services elsewhere. This has been an issue that's been on the agenda of the MFS Health and Safety Committee since 2012, with very little progress being made. Our union has taken a fresh stance. We're looking again at the science and, as I said, other fire services with a view to reducing and hopefully even eliminating the risk to our membership.
Hello, my name's Michael Clark. I'm a firefighter on B shift. Before joining the MFS, I had a career or a history in work health safety and HR, and also worked for another fire service that tackled the issue of diesel particulate matter quite seriously and the health impacts on its employees. I'm here today to talk to you about the science as far as we know it around diesel particulate matter. What's really important for you to understand is that there is no safe work exposure limit for diesel particulate matter in Australia. In fact, there's only a guideline. The guideline was taken from a US guideline, and in 2012, when the World Health Organization reclassified diesel particulate matter, or DPM, as a Group 1 carcinogen, which means will cause cancer in humans, the US abandoned that in favour of a stricter guideline. So as it stands in Australia, we've had a guideline that's been around for over 20 years and it hasn't been reviewed since it was implemented. That guideline is 0.1 milligrams per cubic metre. That guideline was introduced in that level to basically reduce irritation. So anything above that caused irritations, so eye irritations, coughing and asthma in people. What's really interesting is that Cancer Council Australia states that the levels required to get cancer, specifically lung cancer and bladder cancer, are well below the guidelines set here in Australia. Western Australian Department for Energy and Underground Mining have actually done some studies around this. They thought that the guideline of 0.1 milligrams per cubic metre would cause about 1 fatality for every 1,000 employees. When they did the research, the underground mines were about half the guideline level, but they had 38 fatalities directly linked to diesel particulate matter in their underground mines. So the guidelines need to be set much lower to stop cancer levels. BHP Billiton, which I'd see as probably an employer of choice and someone that's on the front foot in this matter, has actually come out and stated that the science is far ahead of what the guideline here is in Australia, and that the science and the guideline's not keeping up with the science. So they've imposed a self-imposed limit of 0.03 milligrams per cubic metre, and they see it as one of the biggest threats or biggest hazards to their employees moving forward, and they're tackling it head on. What's really important to remember is that what comes out of our engines or of our fire appliances is a product of combustion. It's exactly the same or very similar to that of fires that we attend. Looking at the chemicals coming out, it's not just diesel particulate matter, or that's very important, but benzenes, fluorides, nitrous oxides, formaldehyde, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, all cancer-causing chemicals also come out of the stack. But what happens with diesel particulate matter is it's quite sticky and a lot of those chemicals attach to it, and because of the small size of the diesel particulate matter, or elemental carbon as we call it, it travels deep into the lungs and directly across into the bloodstream. A lot of people ask me when we're talking on this topic is, aren't the newer Euro standard trucks safer or healthier for us? And in fact, new research that's come out actually say that they're as bad, if not potentially worse, than the older trucks, because a lot of the retrofit that's been done to the engines produces a smaller particle size of elemental carbon or diesel particulate matter. A smaller particle size has a greater surface area, therefore attaches more of those nasty chemicals to it, and they can travel deep into the lungs and across into the bloodstream quite easily. potentially being more harmful for us. Basically, when you take a deep dive into this topic of diesel particulate matter, you'll find there are a lot of grey areas. No safe exposure limit, a lot of science that links it to cancer. We know it's bad for it.
Chaz Thomas, United Firefighters President. So how do we want the issue dealt with? Well, if we look around the world, we see proactive fire services aggressively tackling this issue. In UK, Canada, US, New Zealand, and most recently in the Fire and Rescue Victoria, they've implemented best practice direct source capture. So, come across to the MFS, we have proposed a number of short, medium and long-term goals to deal with the issue.
The UFUSA proposes a staged approach to achieve short, medium and long-term goals over 4 years. Short-term goals over a 1-year period include: first, the installation of automated front and back doors in all stations. Second, extended run times of exhaust fans. Third, move PPE out of all engine bays. Medium-term goals over a 2-year period include: first, provide for PPE storage out of engine bays at all stations. Second, all future stations to be designed for point-of-capture exhaust ventilation. Long-term goal over 4 years include: all stations to be fitted with point-of-capture exhaust ventilation systems.
All of our requests are based on this and centred around the Safe Work Australia's Guide to Managing Risk of Exposure to Diesel Exhaust in the Workplace. So we've heard about the issue and we know where we want to get to, but there are still things that our members can do to protect themselves and their workmates. Run us through that.
Yeah, that's right. Look, current control measures do work. Although they're not their industry best practice, we can still use them. So when you're moving the truck in and out of the engine bay, don't let it idle. Open the front and rear doors and use the extraction fans. When it comes time to cleaning the engine bay, make sure we're using a wet mop and store your PPE appropriately. So either inside the cab if you're on duty or out of the engine bay if you're off duty.
Okay, so if we do have build-up of soot in an engine room, say, what's the idea?
Yeah, if there's a build-up of a soot, basically the extraction system or the control measures are not working. So we need to report that. So put that up the chain to management and let them know that it's not working.
And physical effects, if you can notice those things?
Yeah, this is really important. If you're suffering any effects from diesel particulate matter and the fumes coming out, such as eye irritation, breathing problems, you need to do a My Safety report on that.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much for your attention on this important issue, and if you'd like more information you can go to our Diesel Particulate Matter campaign page on our website, which is right there, and you'll find more authorities, access to the science and more about what our campaign is doing. Thanks again.